presentation. In Plain Sight was inspired by my despondency over compost and non-biodegradable rubbish left behind by others. As a British cycling mountain bike ride leader, I see a lack of awareness of the Countryside Code. Visually mapped as part of my contextual studies essay, I had discovered rural litter has been an issue for the last 100 years. Litter is unseen until it becomes a problem, exposing social order, assumptions about the site, and represents social problems through metaphors. Nottinghamshire County Council utilises restored colliery tips and disused railway lines as local nature reserves. When Veolia submitted a waste incinerator planning application on the ex-Rufford colliery site in 2007, Friends of the Earth campaigned against it in favour of land restoration because of its significance as a lowland heathland of Sherwood Forest. I had started with 3 themes and narrowed them down with my tutor to link my ideas and photographs with contextual studies. I read Mary Douglas's Purity in Danger, John Fiske's Reading the Popular, Michael de Courteau's The Practice of Everyday Lives, and Phil McNaughton and John Urry's Contested Natures. Assignment 1 recorded straight photographs of waste left by the public after their excursions. In this format, the work was unsuccessful and rejected. My tutor, Robert Bloomfield, advised me not to look at other photographers' work and concentrate on finding my way to present rubbish. Reading Gay Hawkins' The Ethics of Waste, How We Relate to Rubbish, I investigated how nature engulfs waste, which I dismissed through a lack of contextual knowledge. However, Julie Robiol, presenting at Let's Talk Dirty, Geography and Ecologies, would identify this site as a ruderal, liminal, abandoned space. This is an avenue to explore further. Assignment 2 explored litter typology, collecting 30 pieces of litter, positioning it within the landscape and photographing it as land art. However, by disregarding dog poo bags, my tutor suggested I was missing the chance to shock viewers. With my HE6 Hangout group, I shared and discussed these images and received constructive feedback. By Assignment 3, the COVID lockdown in March 2020 changed rural areas. The Conservative government permitted once daily outdoor exercise. Rhythms of waste slowed and stopped. Bins were unemptied. Household waste centres and charity shops closed. Volunteer litter pickers continued to clear rubbish, though countryside rubbish intensified and fly tipping expanded into national problem. Litter became a political subject, portrayed by the media, reminiscent of the rural concerns of the 1930s that informed the Countryside Code. With a chance find of discarded mirrored tiles, I built a Kaleidoscope, a 3-sided, open-ended kaleidoscope, and photographed individual pieces of litter through it. Initial experiments took place in the garden before I re-photographed in the landscape. Reactions to this image were positive, and I had the beginnings of my current body of work. Tutor feedback for Assignment 3 was hard to hear, although it was expected. 2 prominent words were conceptualisation and contextualisation. My work was still too literal. I was encouraged to develop my photographic language and revisit Rosalind Klaus's photography's discursive spaces, landscape and view. I was forced to admit burnout. Both my tutors agreed I needed a 6-month extension. From November to March 2020 to 21, I created a series of images using Robert's advice of less reality and showing more reflected surfaces. My work was developing into beautiful, composite images created in Photoshop by researching surrealism, fantasy, and optical apparatus. Using illusion, In Plain Sight establishes an imagined reality in which viewers are asked to analyse and decode truth based on their knowledge. In Plain Sight explores littering through euphemisms without pressurising viewers to sympathise with the ideals and portrayals of worldwide and national enterprises such as Keep Britain Tidy or World Earth Day. By blurring, cropping and twisting, my fantastical techno-futuristic images acted like a spotlight on the landscape. Photoshop ensured triangles were identical and facilitated movement between landscapes. The amount of blur was witnessed and debated by adding and subtracting layers. I experimented with litter-covered 3D shapes, analysing that the more abstract the litter was, the more engaging the image became. Triangles represented the Mobius recycling symbol. Claire Strand facilitated my understanding of Marcel Duchamp's infrathin concept, and I concluded that rubbish possessed an infrathin quality. A change in tutor for assignment 5 to Andy Hughes gave me a different perspective on my work. Andy pointed me in the direction of Brian Winters, a fine artist, and philosophers such as Timothy Morton's Hyperobject, Michael Serres and Jonathan Franzen, which I will carry forward to SYP. The pandemic made artist talks more accessible. Following an Instagram live conversation between Dan Wheeler at Nottingham Photo Parlour and Al Bryden, I explored the concept of non-sites, reading Robert Smithson's The Collective Writings, Mark Orge's Non-Places and Al Bryden's None-Places. Tutorials with Andrew Conroy, my CS tutor, developed my research on consumerism, civilizing and political effects on society. By working on CS and BOW at the same time, one informed the other. The materiality of the book dummies engaged people in conversation about my work. It challenges the relationship between humans and the landscape through constructed kaleidoscopic images, recategorizing and reclassifying waste. I'm planning to hold a local outdoor exhibition. I will develop the carousel books further, and I hope to deliver an information session at a primary school with an early years teacher, COVID permitting, encouraging children to become waste warriors, testing a hypothesis from my extended essay. Thank you for listening.